Bonjour, I'm Jennifer, your French teacher in the south of France, and it is the French Grammar Power Hour. I'm going to tell you all about it in this video. This is going to happen Sunday, November 17th through Sunday, November 24th. Make sure you check out the description of the course in the link below so that you can get in on some very special early bird pricing. The French Grammar Power Hour. It's 8 days, 8 hours, 8 grammar themes, and no homework. Why isn't there any homework? Well, because for 1 hour every day, you and I are going to go over a set of exercises together. So I'm not just going to teach you about these different grammar points. I am actually going to go over exercises with you so that we can get down to the nitty gritty. No homework, but you will have an opportunity to win an amazing prize if you complete 2 small tasks every day right in the comments of the course. I'll tell you more about that on the first day, but remember, it just requires 1 hour a day. One of the themes is going to be name that tense. There are so many tenses in French. We're going to do this over 2 days. The first day of Name That Tense, we're going to deal with basic tenses. And the second day of Name That Tense, we'll move into more advanced French grammar tenses. So I will go through an exercise with you with 50 different little exercises. Here's an example. You will never travel abroad if you don't have a passport. And we are going to translate this sentence together and name that tense. Now remember, we're going to be dealing with lots of different tenses. This one is le futur simple. Tu ne voyageras jamais à l'étranger si tu n'as pas de passeport. So you can see that the first verb, voyagera, is in le futur simple. You will never travel à l'étranger, abroad, si tu n'as pas de passeport. Now that part is in the present tense, if you do not have a passport. And we'll talk about little things like, why is it de passeport and not du passeport? We're going to get into all of the details. Another big grammar topic is le passé composé. So we are going to devote one whole day, one whole hour to the passé composé, mixing up verbs that take être as a helping verb, others that take avoir as a helping verb. When do we need to make agreement? When do we not? Here's an example. L'écrivain descend les marches pour rencontrer ses admirateurs. So you know what you have to do. Put this in the passé composé. You'll see here from the answer that we are also going to tackle some of the difficulties in le passé composé. L'écrivain a descendu les marches pour rencontrer ses admirateurs. The verb descendre, which generally takes the verb être as a helping verb, actually needs the helping verb avoir when it's followed by a direct object. So during the course, I will tell you how to identify a direct object and how you can know, well, am I supposed to use être or avoir? Pronouns. We're going to devote 2 days to pronouns. The first pronoun day or the first hour is going to be simply using one pronoun at a time. And the second pronoun day is going to focus on using more than one pronoun at a time. And we're going to look at doing these in the present tense, in the passé composé, and in the futur proche. We will deal with using negation with these pronouns as well. Here's an example. You have to choose between le, la, les, leur, lui, I, and on. And in this situation, I want us to use the present tense. And the first thing I want you to do is form a sentence using the subject pronoun je, the infinitive se souvenir. Of course, you'll have to conjugate it in the present tense, and de cette histoire. So we're not using a pronoun yet. Just make a sentence. So remember, the first thing you have to do is just form a sentence without using a pronoun. In the present tense, je me souviens de cette histoire. Je me souviens de cette histoire. I remember that story. And now it's time to restate that sentence, replacing de cette histoire with a pronoun so that you can just say, I remember it instead of I remember that story. Well, during our time together, I will remind you when to use each type of pronoun. If you have any form of de, for example, followed by a thing, a noun, then you can replace it with the pronoun en. So, je m'en souviens means I remember it. On our second day or second hour of doing pronouns together, we are really going to focus on using more than one pronoun at a time. And I will tell you the rules so that you'll know how to do that. And this will give us another opportunity to review when to use which type of pronoun. You'll see something like this one's in the passé composé. J'ai expliqué mon idée à mes amis. And I'm going to want you to replace mon idée and à mes amis with two different pronouns and put them in the right spot in the sentence. Our original sentence was J'ai expliqué mon idée à mes amis. And if we want to say, instead of I explained my idea to my friends, if we want to say I explained it to them, we need to use two pronouns. We're going to use la to replace mon idée, which is in fact a feminine noun. It says mon idée because idée starts with a vowel and we want it to sound pretty, but idée is feminine. So, what did I explain to my friends? My idea. It answers the question what, so it's a direct object. We will have been through all of this on the previous day. So I'm going to use la to replace mon idée. Now, who did I explain it to? To my friends. And I will tell you how to identify an indirect object pronoun, which is what my friends are in this sentence. And that means I have to use the plural indirect object, leur. Again, I'm going to give you the order of pronouns and explain to you where they go in the sentence. This one is in the passé composé, so my pronouns stick together, but they go before the helping verb. Now, look, there's something else in this one. Do you see the extra E on expliquer? That's because we have a preceding direct object pronoun. You'll get all of these rules, and in just 1 hour a day. We will also be devoting 2 days or 2 hours to relative pronouns. And we'll start with the relative pronouns qui, que, ou, and dont. We will go through our whole series of exercises so you will know when to use each one. Here's an example. Voici les croquettes, and you have a blank. Le chien a mangé. Now, which relative pronoun do I need there? In case you're wondering what croquettes are, it's dry dog food. In this case, dog food, could be cat food. Voici les croquettes que le chien a mangées. So this means here is the dog food or the kibble, whatever you want to call it, that the dog ate. So we have to use que here because what we're doing with relative pronouns is connecting two parts of the sentence, making them relate to each other. I have another subject coming up after que. It's le chien. The dog is the subject of the verb manger. It's the dog who did the eating. So I have to put a que before le chien as my relative pronoun because I already have a subject. We will get into all of the rules and all the differences about qui, que, ou, and dont. And this will be a good opportunity for me to also show you, since we will have talked about a few rules in the days leading up to this one. You see the extra E and the S on manger? Well, those are there because there is a preceding direct object. What did the dog eat? Les croquettes. Les croquettes happen to be feminine and plural. That means I have to make agreement on the past participle. We're going to have another day when we're still dealing with relative pronouns, and we're going to look at the ce qui, ce que, and ce dont. And we're also on that day going to take a close look at when do we use dont versus duquel. All of that's going to happen in 1 hour. I'll explain it all. N'oublie pas, fill in the blank, Je t'ai dit hier soir. You got to choose between ce que, ce qui, and ce dont. Don't forget what I told you last night. So the answer is n'oublie pas ce que je t'ai dit hier soir. Don't forget what I told you last night. Que is not enough. We will have been over qui, que, ou, and dont, but que is not enough. Even though here we're following que with a subject, it seems like we would need que. We do need que, it's just not enough because don't forget what I told you last night. Well, what did you tell me last night? I don't know because it's not named. So this is called an indefinite relative pronoun, and we're using ce que as an indefinite direct object. In this one, I'm going to ask you to choose between dont and duquel. Now, I will have explained the difference to you and when to use each one, but you have to fill in the blank. Tu vois cet appartement? Do you see this apartment? C'est celui, fill in the blank, je t'ai parlé. Is it dont or is it duquel? And the answer is dont. You will know after our lesson on qui, que, ou, and dont that dont is used when a verb is followed by de and something else. So if I said, I talked to you about this apartment, je t'ai parlé de cet appartement, then I'm going to replace de cet appartement with the relative pronoun dont. It's the one that I talked to you about. Que will not work here because there's a de involved. Well, why isn't it duquel? I'll explain all of that in the 1 hour that we devote to this topic. And finally, we are going to get to the subjunctive, but I'm not going to take you through a series of exercises on forming the subjunctive. Rather, I'm going to take you through a series of exercises in which you have to choose between the subjunctive and the indicative. So you will see here in my example that I've written both options for you in a little box at the bottom, attend or attendre, with the second being in the subjunctive. Ils savent que je fill in the blank with the correct form of the verb attendre, depuis 15 minutes. So they know that I have been waiting for 15 minutes. Is it the subjunctive or is it the indicative? Et pourquoi? And the answer is the indicative. There is no need for the subjunctive after ils savent que. They know that I have been waiting for 15 minutes. There's no doubt about it. This is something that they know as a fact. So the indicative, ils savent que j'attends depuis 15 minutes. Well, what do you think about this one? Subjunctive or the indicative? Il est important qu'elle, fill in the blank with the correct form of the verb aller. Will it be va or aille chez le coiffeur? It's important that she go to the hair salon or to the hairdresser. It is the subjunctive. Il est important qu'elle aille chez le coiffeur. Il est important qu'elle aille chez le coiffeur. Why is it the subjunctive? Well, il est important que is an impersonal expression that requires the subjunctive. So we'll have a whole set of exercises to go through, and you can become more familiar with when to use the subjunctive and when to use the indicative. So are you ready for the French Grammar Power Hour? This is 8 days, 8 hours, 8 grammar themes, and no homework. Remember, I'm going to tell you on the first day about 2 simple tasks that you can complete right in the comments of the course in order to be eligible for an amazing prize at the end of 8 days. Go on and check out the course description now. You can look at it you can find the link in the description below. And don't wait because you early birds can get in on some special pricing if you sign up early enough. I will see you soon in the French Grammar Power Hour.